Good morning, everyone. How are you doing today? So glad to be here with you for Coffee Time Career Chat. If this is your first time joining, my name is Patricia Hayes. I am an executive advisor, career empowerment coach, and authentic networking strategist. And all that means is when you are ready to make moves in your career and your business, I'm the person to talk to help make sure that you are leveraging all of your resources, especially your professional relationships, so that you can get to the next level in achieving your goals and dreams. So, that said, welcome. We are starting a new month. And so, as you know, around here in these parts, new month, new theme. And this month, we are focusing on strategically planting those networking seeds. And just a little hint, this is coinciding with the launch of the new masterclass series where we are maximizing our professional opportunities, networking opportunities. And so each week you're going to get a little taste of that here in Coffee Time Career Chat. But I invite you to sign up and get registered for the full masterclass. It's a 4-part series. First things up is conferences and workshops, which we're going to talk a little bit about here today. But in the masterclass, it is 90 minutes, 75 minutes, somewhere along there, probably a few, little bit with Q&A. And it will be recorded live once, and then you will have access to the recording. So if you're not able to attend live, no worries. It is going to become a product in my services. And so you will be able to access each one as it comes along, or you can buy the whole bundle. So I will be sure to put that in that link in the comments, and or you can check the link tree in my bio and you will be able to get access to that. And I'm super, looking excited to it. That maximizing your professional networking opportunities is a topic that I have discussed previously, actually in preparation for creating a masterclass. That was about a year ago. So what we're doing now is we're going through with it and making it real and putting it out there so that it can be available year round. Because here's the thing that I have learned is that most people underutilize the opportunities that are presented to them, and they don't see them for what they are or what they could be, especially when it comes to attending events and all of that. And here's the reason why. Most people dread quote networking because they think they got to go out, be fake, shake hands with people they don't know or don't like, and then that's it. Get in, show your face, get out. When in reality, when you are engaging in authentic networking with a purpose, that is not the end. That is just the beginning. And you start it in a different way. You look for opportunities to give, to learn, to share, and then you take that forward into what you're doing later. So, we're going to talk about that here. Of course, I've got a couple of points here. And when we're talking about attending conferences and workshops, the first things first, you have to be present. Number one. And what do you mean? You're like, well, I'm there. And that's exactly the problem. A lot of people just show up to a conference or a workshop, but they're not fully engaged. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But they're just there. You have to be present in body, mind, and spirit in order to gain the full potential and all of the opportunities that are really going to be available to you. And what do I mean by that? Well, today, in today's world, we've been doing a lot of things virtually, clearly, right? We're still very much in a hybrid season. I've seen a ton of galas and events and things like that. Oh, wow. So my LinkedIn folks, you may be catching this in a second. So we will come back around since there's a problem with LinkedIn. Anyway, so we'll keep going so that we can reshare from one of the other sources. So, as I was saying, that we are very much in a hybrid season. And that means that the things that we are doing for professional growth, for learning, for engaging with our colleagues, all of that is going to remain hybrid for some time. Big business is trying to figure out what to do next. Lots of people are like, hey, I kind of like this remote thing. And I've already proven that I can get the work done remotely. So why do I need to come sit inside four walls? Okay. So that said, the same thing goes for conferences and workshops. Yes, there's absolutely something to be gained and to be said about attending events in person, right? There are nuances that you don't capture when you're on video or you're on a phone. There's just some of the spontaneity of engagement. And yes, we all love that and it is missed. However, that has shifted forever. And as we ease back into this, here are the realities. The concepts, the ideas that I present to you here and in the masterclass fit very well, whether you are in person or whether you are hybrid. And the reality is, whether there are people who go to events in person and still are, quote, not present. You skip out on portions of the conference. You stay for only for a little bit, think, oh, I don't really know, and I don't need to know that. So then you leave. And if you're doing those things strategically, that's one thing, right? I've done these things for years. And there are times you're like, you know what, I can catch up with that person about that issue, but there's an opportunity for me to go catch this other person. So let me go do it. It's not just skipping out because I don't feel like it. It's about there's another opportunity for me to pursue, and I've decided that it is better served for my time in order to be pursuing that other one with this, within these confines of this conference or this workshop. All right. You have to be present. Virtually, that means turn your camera on, period. People are already straining from not being able or not feeling like they're connected to people. So, literally, while it is still strange to sit here and talk to a screen or whatever, that is the reality of the things that we have to do. So, if you are going to attend a conference or a workshop virtually, be present. Here's the thing. I have attended numerous conferences and workshops in the last few years. And here is the thing, both as a speaker and a presenter and as an attendee. As a speaker, here's the thing. I always ask not to be put on spotlight. I want to see the people that I am speaking with, because in a room full of people, I would normally get to do that. So I'm not worried about being spotlighted. I want to see the people. Now, here's the thing, because I draw energy from that and I can read people's expressions, I can try to connect with them a little bit as a speaker. If your camera is off and I'm looking at a black screen, there's no one for me to connect to. That is the equivalent of you saying, well, I'm in the room, but I'm gonna put my head down. And you're like, what? Or you say, I'm get up. Now, granted, again, I recognize we are working remotely. Some of us are still dealing with other things that we have to care for. Get it. But if you want to be present, you cannot attend these conferences and workshops virtually and leave your camera off all the time. It is a signal that you are not really present, that you're not really there to engage. You're there to be in attendance. And that is different. Being present is more than being in attendance. Okay, I like that. Being present is more than being in attendance. And so you need to figure out what it looks like for you to be present in a virtual environment. and then start practicing that consistently. All right. If you know that you can't get through, a 4-hour deal the whole time being on, then fine. Figure out 15 minutes here, 5 minutes there, but be present. There are so many things where people's like, oh, it's not possible. I'm going to tell you again, both as a speaker and as an attendee. So, for example, um, way back when at the beginning, I think in fall of 2020, I attended a crafting conference, crafting workshop online. It was a 4 hour, I think it was about 4 hours or so, online, virtually. Had the best time. There were a few hiccups, including someone, feeling free behind the screen to be really nasty to a speaker without, it's kind of like yelling in the middle of a presentation. What is she talking about? Because this is not really useful to me. Etiquette. People still need to learn. However, I was able to engage with people, with the speakers, to give support to them, to go back and forth. It can be done. I had a great time. It was something that I needed to do, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. Another example is last year I attended, I had paid for a coaching experience, 9 months long, all virtual, all virtual. The learning experiences were online, they were on a learning platform. The engagement with the coach were 2 days a week, a couple of hours each day, if that was a thing, for live chats, for coaching sessions, for group coaching, all of that. And I made sure not to miss a minute of it if I could avoid it, because number one, I was paying for it, first things first. And secondly, I wanted to make sure that I got the most out of the experience. And for me to get the most out of the experience, I had to show up. Right? So be sure to show up. Don't waste your money. Don't waste your company's money. Don't waste your time if you're not going to be present and show up, because otherwise, that's exactly what it is. And you cannot connect to people. You cannot do it in either way, in person or virtually, if you don't truly show up. Okay. So there's that. I really felt the need to harp, and really drive that point home, because it's super important. And you can't blame that on this pandemic environment, because I've seen it happen way too often, even pre-pandemic, in times when people would, again, spend company or your own money to go to a workshop or conference and then not stay present, being on the phone throughout the thing. Well, then you should have just stayed in the office. Okay. So be present. Second point, be prepared to engage fully. So this is not just be prepared to engage, be prepared to engage fully, right? Depending on what the conference or the workshop looks like, it's going to be different than how you might operate at a business or a professional development program. We'll talk about that next week. But in a conference and workshop, that may mean that, especially virtually, but even more so in person, since people are just now getting back together, is you have to be willing and able to maybe be a little vulnerable, to say, hey, I'm here, or I'm trying to, because I've got, a sick pup, and someone's like, sick pup, I've got folks who have been home, and, they've got, animals or pets that are really, really ill and are taking care of them. Or let's say you still have small ones around, or the kids end up getting out of school for a weather day, and you're still having to do these things. Flexibility is still important. All right. No one is going to blame you for having a life. And if they are, then that's a different conversation. We need to have a little chit chat about where you are and what you're doing and why. Right. That said, there is a greater expectation as we transition to this hybrid format for people to be engaged. The expectation is greater, right? We're coming as like, hey, you know what? This is our new normal. So we all got to get with the program. So you need to figure out what that looks like for you to engage fully. Excuse me. Now, what does that mean? What does that look like when you're talking about planting those networking seeds? People can't get to know you if you're not sharing your thoughts, your ideas, you're not engaging in the chat, if you're not showing up in person to the conference, meeting rooms or the workshops so that you can see who else is present. If you're not present and engaged, guess what? You can't see who else is present and engaged. How can you build out your professional network if you aren't even there to see who's in the room, virtually or in person? So that's that thing, is like, be present and then be engaged fully so that you can have that opportunity, so that people can get to know you. That's the whole point. When you're trying to build relationships professionally, you're doing it not to what's the word? Not just to pass out business cards, not just to pass out virtual business cards, right? We're past that. This is about making sure that you connect with a few key people so that you can then follow up with them and make sure that you be social, be whatever, right? Those are, I just tossed in the last two things, right? The third session is going to be about being social online and virtually, in person. And the last one is about the follow up, about the gold being in the follow up. Okay. So that said, you want to be sure that you are prepared to engage. What does that mean? Well, that means, first of all, not just showing up to the conference or the workshop saying, okay, my boss or someone told me to be here. You need to have looked at the agenda, reviewed the agenda, made some educated guesses or anticipation about what some of the conversation might be about, so you can know which ones you want to be present for so that you can engage more fully or that you can learn from. Okay. Showing up unprepared is not a good idea. It is not a good way and it's not a good look in order for people to get to know you better. All right. So think about that, about being prepared to engage fully. All right. Lastly, last thing is be proactive. This is one of the biggest problems that people have when it comes to engaging and attending conferences and workshops. Is they go to the conference or the workshop and then they say, okay, well, I haven't heard from anybody that was there, or when are they going to send me this or whatever. It's like I've always told my kids, do not wait. I literally just had this conversation last week. Do not wait for the teacher to say, hey, are you missing this? You need to get this in. That's not how it works. And if they do, they're not doing it personally, they're doing it to the whole group. Too often, we are waiting for someone to engage with us on a very personal level when we are not willing to send that out into the world. This is that give and receive part. And if you want to receive and be open to people reaching out to you, you have to be willing to do the same. Be proactive about reaching out, about reconnecting with people who attended the conference virtually or in person, for taking a look at those sessions that you weren't able to attend and contacting those folks and say, hey, I attended this conference or this workshop, but I wasn't able to attend your session. I would love to follow up with you. There's so many ways, and I get into some of those strategies. I get into a lot of those strategies in the masterclass, very specifically about how to maximize that attendance and when you are going to these conferences and workshops, and to not leave opportunities sitting on the table. One of the opportunities I see happen, and it gets left on the table all the time, and I see this even from the little, when they're young all the way to now grown folks. But when I would go speak to a crowd of young people, high school, college age, I will always challenge them. I'm like, I encourage you to reach out to me. And I would give them, my email, maybe depending on the environment, even my personal cell phone number. And you would be surprised at how few people actually took me up on it. That is a missed opportunity. And we do that as adults as well. So I encourage you to be more proactive about what it is you intend to receive and to get out of attending these conferences and workshops. It's more than about just being social. We all need that. That is a part of the connection. But what's the next level? If you're trying to up level in your career, in your job, in your business, in your goals, what's the next level of being proactive in a way that will support you in those efforts? Okay, that's my question for you. So there we are. I am super excited. That is just a taste, y'all, of what you will get in the masterclass. So I highly recommend that you go check out that link, click on it, get registered. I believe the fee is like $59. It's not very much for each masterclass, or you can message me if you're interested in getting the bundle. I'm not sure if the bundle link is up yet, but I know the individual link for this first session is up. Okay, so I look forward to having you join me on Thursday and or catching the replay and being able to have access to it. You can learn all about it. And if you want to make sure you stay updated, please, please, please be sure to go to patriciavhayes.com, get signed up for the newsletter so you can stay up to date on all the activities and all the things that are going on. Okay, I would love to get your feedback and some comments or questions that you have about this topic, and look forward to speaking with you later in the week. Have a fantastic day and week, everyone. Bye bye.